Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. We are trickling in. It's a special SBIR session today. This is a DoD special. So looks like everyone in, Stephen. We're good to go?
Good to go.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm Benton Moore. I'm the director of the Brink Small Business Development Center here at University of San Diego. We are putting this program on in conjunction with our friends over at UCSD and the basement. So today's session is going to be specialized and talk about DoD. There's a lot happening in the world, and that means there's a lot happening in the DoD, including a name change sometimes. So we'll dive into how that affects you as entrepreneurs and builders. Our partner, Jacques Shirazi, is the director of the basement and the student entrepreneurship program at UC San Diego, can't join us today, but I'll fill in on his behalf. The real stars of the show are Matt Hutton, our Brink advisor and specialist in SBIR, and Dalabar Hodko, who has had a lot of experience actually writing successfully SBIRs for DoD. He's going to talk to you about it from his entrepreneurial perspective. So for those of you who are at UCSD, the basement, that's Jacques' program, is an incubator dedicated to student innovation and entrepreneurship. And it's part of the OIC, the Office of Innovation and Commercialization. Really great space. And we are, as always, delighted to partner with UC San Diego and the basement. For those of you who are not UCSD students, or even if you are UCSD students, the Brink is a San Diego and Imperial Valley wide organization, 100% no cost, world-class consulting. We put on programs year round aimed at accelerating innovation. So we typically work with companies building in deep tech, high tech, and a lot of SBIR grants. So we have around the year programming. You can register to be a free client and participate in any of our events. You can also sign up for one-on-one advising with this amazing advisor team. This is like our world-class startup ninja team. Imagine if this was your team slide on your deck. Experience in just about every scientific and deep tech industry you could imagine. Everything we do is no cost, world class, and brought to you by 16 really cool advisors who are happy to help grow innovation in San Diego. This is a snapshot of some of the things we offer. We are running SBIR writing group this fall. We have a Lean Essentials Sprint, which is an 8-week accelerator that ends up taking your early stage idea, battle testing it in the environment, and then presenting to actual investors on the 9th week. We have a lot of other programs coming up, a lot of office hours, very easy to find out what we're doing. You can click on a link I'll show you in a second. And then this fall, we'll have Matt's SBIR writing workshop run by Matt Hutton and Jonathan Irwin, who's here as well. 4 sessions, 90 minutes each, covering just about everything you could imagine, from what is an SBIR grant to technically how does this sentence work for the parameters of the SBIR application process. So it can be very technical, it can be very general, but we have experts to help you. So easiest way to find out what we're doing is to sign up for our newsletter and follow us on LinkedIn, and that QR code will get you there. All right, that's all I have. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt Hutton to talk a little bit more about SBIR, and then Dalibor after that. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Ben. So apologies, I don't have my video up. I'm calling in
All good.
uh
We got you.
from the side of the road here. Uh okay, so are the slides up?
Yes, we see him.
Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, thanks so much for that introduction. So I'm just going to take maybe 15 minutes here and give kind of an overview to the SBIR program. and then with some specific detail on the Department of Defense or Department of War. Take your pick. So let's go to the second slide, please. Okay, so I think overview and history of the program is instructive here. SBIR stands for Small Business Innovation Research. This program was created by Congress in 1982 in the Small Business Innovation Development Act. And basically, what Congress did at the time was say to every executive branch agency that has an extramural research budget of a certain size, meaning they funded research, that they wanted a portion of those research dollars allocated towards small businesses that are innovating in their kind of technical area. So bear with me here. I'm going to read the mission statement. I think it's a little bit dry, but also important. So the SBIR program is to fund a diverse portfolio of startups and small businesses across technology areas and markets to stimulate technological innovation, meet federal R&D needs, and increase commercialization to transition R&D into impact. Okay, that is a big mouthful, but I just want to kind of zero in on a couple of things here that are central to the SBIR mission. The first is diverse. So the entire purpose for the SBIR program is to spark an innovation ecosystem. And so they are looking for diversity. And that means diversity of technological or scientific approaches. That means diversity in terms of corporate diversity of the participants in the program, the award recipients. That means diversity in terms of geography. So they want these things happening all across the country with different scientific and technical approaches. That really is kind of the name of the game, just to get small business engaged here. Okay, so they're focused solely on small business. This is one of the only grant programs or grant slash contract programs in the research space funded by the federal government that focuses on small business. What does that mean? So, in order to be eligible to receive an SBIR award, you have to be a small business. This is a little bit different from folks that may have some experience in conventional research, where there's a lot of university involvement or research institution or hospital involvement. The purpose is really to fund your small business and let you kind of spin things up, and then hopefully build some economies out of the technological developments that you're creating here. So, to that end, the SBIR program has extremely strong IP protections. It is non-dilutive, meaning the federal government won't take a stake in the technology that you're developing, IP or otherwise. Um, and it's only one of the only programs like that. Okay. Uh, Stimulate technological innovation. So when they say innovation, that can mean different things to different agencies. They all have kind of their own spin on what innovation is and how innovative and how novel you need to be in this program. But I want to highlight that because this is an eligibility requirement. To be eligible for an SBIR, you have to be doing something innovative and you have to communicate to the agency how you're innovative compared to what else is out there. Again, the purpose is to spur innovation ecosystem. So it's not just a company that's doing the same thing. You're doing something new. Okay, to meet federal R&D needs. What they mean when they say this is that you are responsive to some sort of technological gap that has been identified by the agency. So whether it's Department of Defense or otherwise, they are explaining, we perceive that there's a technology gap or a scientific gap here. You are then explaining to them how in your SBIR project, you will help bridge that gap and develop a new technology or project that will help address that shortfall in our economy. Okay, and then lastly, commercialization and R&D into impact. These are the metrics by which the SBIR program is evaluated. So what what they're really looking for is for you to commercialize, meaning they give you some seed money, you take the seed money, build a business out of it, and start to generate commercial revenues eventually. You don't need to do that during your phase one SBIR. the first initial stages of your project, but that has to be the end goal. And then lastly, impact. So that can be the initial impact of the technology you're developing, but they will all, every agency, including the DoD, be interested in what knock-on effects there may be of the technology you're developing. Will it eventually help reduce disease in the United States? And will that reduce missed days of work or missed days of school for people out there in the world? Okay, next slide, please. Okay, thanks. So, three-phase project format. So each of the agencies, including the Department of Defense, has the SBIR program formatted in three phases. First, you go for a phase one project, which is proof of concept. Okay, so you get about 6 to 12 months, depending on the agency and the program, to demonstrate the technical merit, up to about $275,000. There are variations and exceptions to these things, but in general, your goal in phase one is to demonstrate that there is some technology or scientific uh, merit to what you've proposed. Okay, and it should be a relatively concise, small set of experiments or demonstrations or studies that encourages the agency to say, yeah, this is promising, we can put in some more money. Then you apply for phase two, which is the bigger prize. Phase two project is 1 to 2 years to expand your results or to prototype, basically marching toward commercialization. And phase twos are generally up to about $2 million. There are exceptions again to that. So, for different agencies or different parts of the Department of Defense, you might be coming from a different starting point in terms of the technological maturity. But in all cases, you are making headway toward eventually commercialized. You don't need to commercialize by the end of phase two, but you're making demonstrable progress toward that. Okay, then there's a phase three, which is relatively rare actually, but they may start using these more. So phase three is a commercialization phase. And what this really entails is the agency has deemed your project to be especially meritorious. They would like to put more money into it. Um, and that is not funded out of the SBIR program. So, in other words, the dollars that are required to be reserved for the SBIR by Congress does not fund phase threes. That has to be drafted in from another part of the agency. Why would they do that? The answer is to extend you the really strong IP protection that you have within the SBIR program. So basically, it's the agency. This is really great. We want to continue funding this in order to continue extending the intellectual property and the protections to this company and keep on funding them in this non-dilutive way. We're going to offer them a phase three. And that can look like many different things. It can be up to many, like tens of millions of dollars. Okay, go to the next slide, please. All right. Okay, so I just wanted to show really briefly here. This is funding by agencies in terms of millions. This is all going to be kind of shaken up, I expect, because the SBIR program was just reauthorized. I'll address that on the next screen. But I wanted to show how DoD fits in. So you can see the Department of Defense is really kind of taking the lion's share, meaning they're committing the most money to the SBIR program. They're doing this across different agencies. So if you, that is the 23 or 2.3 billion is all SBIRs. The Department of Defense organizes this into branches of the military, Army, Air Force, Navy, and so on. They also have separate offices that will release their own SBIRs, such as Defense Health Agency.
Hey, Matt.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Matt, your audio is kind of coming in and out a bit.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is current on the SBIR.gov website. That is a website that I encourage you to visit. It provides information about the SBIR programs, but it is run by the Small Business Administration, not the agencies awarding the SBIRs themselves. So I think it's helpful for gathering some information, but then you're going to want to move pretty quickly to the agency of interest. In this case, it would be the DoD. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so I'm sure people are curious about the authorization. So the SBIR program lapsed along with a lot of other funding programs toward the end of 2025. It was reauthorized in mid-April, I believe, with some changes, including some strategic breakthrough awards, language about strategic breakthrough awards, which may be funneled through the phase 3 programs. I don't know yet. But those are funds of up to like 20 or $30 million for really promising projects. They would require cost share. I mean, you would be raising funds to match the government. The next change is limitations on number of applications. So the government is sensitive to people receiving a lot of SBIRs and failing to ever move toward commercialization. These are high risk, high reward. So you don't need to, hit a home run in terms of the commercial impact of every project. It's meant to be high risk, but they do want to see efforts in that direction. And so there is language in the reauthorization to limit, companies that are submitting many, many applications. That is left to the discretion of each individual agency to figure out how to limit it to suit their purposes. So I'm not sure how DoD will do that yet. And then also increased due diligence on foreign participation in SBIRs. Again, left to the discretion of the agencies. Not sure what it will look like yet. The good news is that immediately when the program was reauthorized, the Department of Defense released dozens of topics. So if you go into the next page, I just took a snapshot last night. Maybe it's on the subsequent page. Did I get? Okay, yeah, there we go. That's the one I'm thinking. Okay, so that is just a snapshot of the DoD SBIR webpage. It is linked in the previous slide, which we can distribute these so everybody can kind of see. But I wanted to show that they've released a number of topics. There are live topics right now, and that they have switched. So there's some news at the top here that they're going to move toward a regular release. They've had kind of SBIR opportunities released on irregular cycles throughout the calendar year in the past. They're going to try to make that a little bit more consistent. So they've got this language on release of SBIRs on a monthly basis, and then moving pretty quickly to open period when you're able to submit. And then the previous slide, please. Okay, thanks. So I've just got some helpful tips here. If you want to get started, do visit that DoD webpage. Get your registrations done. So you're going to need to register at sam.gov. That's the System for Award Management in order to receive an SBIR. And then take a look at previous awards. You can do that at sbir.gov/awards. It is really helpful to look at what each of these programs have funded in the recent past. And there's a whole data award archive there where you can do that. Start to kind of get a sense in your head of just broad strokes what your project would look like in response to a specific topic prompt or opportunity that's released on that DoD SBIR webpage. And then, as allowed in the solicitation that's on that DoD SBIR webpage, reach out to the agency. The Department of Defense will limit what contact you're able to have once the opportunity is live. So you need to pay very close attention and not contact them when you shouldn't be. But it is good if you can to have a dialogue with the agency and to understand if your proposed project might be a fit for what they're looking for. And that's all I've got. There are some other agencies listed here when we distribute the slides. Take a look. Other agencies that have overlapping areas of interest with the Department of Defense that I'd encourage you also to look at their SBIR programs. If anyone's got any questions, I could maybe field those now, or if there's time, Ben.
Hey, Matt, this is Vic from Danta Technologies. How are you today, sir?
Good, thanks.
I have a question on one of the slides. Let me go to my notes. Give me 1 second. One of the question I had was that when you say technology, is it applicable only to information technology or manufacturing can be part of the
Yeah,
SBIR as well?
yeah, it's good question. So totally depends on what they've solicited. The Department of Defense can and does solicit all kinds of technologies, including information technology. Um, they do more scientific studies, so like paper studies or laboratory studies, and then they'll also have projects that would entail building physical equipment or designing physical equipment. So it really runs the gamut. It is not specific to just IT.
Okay, got it. And if I have I have a couple of follow-up questions. Is it okay to send you an email to your email address, mhadan at sdivsbdc.org, and we can take it offline, discuss offline?
Yeah,
Actually, I
Ben,
can give
if you
you
want to jump in, I think
Matt. I got
registration with
that.
the Brink would be the first step there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we would love
I'll
to.
put my email in the chat, so yeah, anyone can reach out to me directly. So I work with Matt and Benton, et cetera, at the Brink. So I'm Jonathan Irwin. So I'll put that chat here.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jonathan. All right. Well, thanks for listening. I look forward to hearing about all the SBIR successes. Please keep in touch.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.
All right, Dalbar, you're
Thank
going
you,
to run
Matt.
your slides, right?
Yes, I will.
It's loading, loading, loading. All
Actually,
right, we
while
have it.
that is loading, I'll give a quick intro because Dalibor is modest and humble, but so let me brag about him for a moment. Among other things, SBIR reviewer for NASA, DOE, NSF, NIH. He's a chair on 5 panels. He's gotten 40 million in grants, including DoD and DARPA. He's been a PI on about 40 grant projects, including DoD and DARPA. And he was CEO of, he's led a lot of companies from an executive level. He's a technical CEO, as he says, but he certainly has a lot of inroads into federal grants and how to play that game. So, Doctor, thanks for being here. How about it?
Very good. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so hello, everybody. I'm honored to support the SBDC. I worked with Jonathan and Matt and Benton in the past, and I provide some kind of practical aspects of the program. I foresee this program that it's one of the unique programs in the world. It basically trains a large number of forward-thinking innovators that can quickly adjust to new and developing market demands and ensure dynamic, vibrant economy. It is really a very diverse program. All 12, 15 agencies are obliged to have them. And I'll just provide very briefly a bit my background. Jonathan already mentioned a number of details from my past experience with SBIR and generally getting government funding. I said I'm a technical CEO. Yes, I'm running it administratively, a company called Nexogen. And I received education through LARTA, Foresight, Dawnbreaker, and other that SBIR program organizes and can help you convert from a technical innovator into an administrator. So that exists as a part of the SBIR program, and you certainly should look once you get your programs to look into that. I was doing 4 startups. I was in one mid-sized company, and about 3 technologies were commercialized. I'm not going to go through all the details. For example, in terms of DoD, as projects. This is one here that is shown that is cleanup of the soil, marsh soil from heavy metals. This was funded through SBIR Phase 2 program, and we demonstrated the technology basically uses electrical fields in the soil to remove metals, electroplate them, and electrodes. So yes, with that money, you can bring it to the large scale, even manufacturing or prototypes in a very diversified field, and that's what one of the attendees was asking about. I'm not going to repeat what Matt was already saying is the new, in terms of reauthorization of the SBIR, it's this new thing is a $30 million funding that will come with only basically for larger departments, and DoD is requiring about 20% matching from the DoD funding. So you have to find a partner that will match the funding. So you have to be already at the stage of commercialization and having some VC funding and things like that. So this is the push to commercialize SBIR further on. I'm going to address some very specifics, practical aspects of this reauthorization. As Matt mentioned, a number of agencies, but they are limiting, let's say, from one company, about 9 proposals per year per agency. And they are cracking on so-called proposal factory companies or paper mills that are submitting, hundreds of proposals, and you have difficulties to compete with those. There was a lot of discussions about reviewing, and they kept traditional technical review, which consists of about 20 people from the field that are top experts, and they are keeping administration review. This one is targeting policy conformity. You may think, okay, are they going to check my background? No, not really. What is it going to be probably practically implemented? They want to see that the proposals and awards are in accordance with the present conformity. So you should avoid words like diversity, equity, inclusion, disparities, gender, race, minority, or climate change. To be able to pass that, just audit your own text and don't use those. So because there's algorithm that will be checking for those, so that obstacle is easily surpassed. However, of course, if you're proposing clinical study, biological differences have to be addressed in terms of gender, sex, age, and race. That was one of the concerns that people were thinking, well, what's going to happen in terms of the review process. Second big concern was that a lot of agencies were starting saying, okay, we are going to reduce indirect cost from about 40-50% down to 15%. However, this was disputed and abandoned currently by all agencies. So NIH, as previously, will allow up to 40% of total direct cost, and you even don't have to provide much negotiation. You have to justify, but this stays as before, which is very, very important. In terms of Department of Defense, I wanted to add to what Matt was saying. There is SBIR program, but Department of Defense has broad agency announcements. There is agencies, several different agencies that are mentioned here. Each of them have separate programs that you can address. You don't have my advice is once you submit through SBIR, use the same type of grant, modified slightly, and apply to different agencies if it fits those agencies. So there is EBREP, BARDA, which is Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, which funded, for example, COVID testing and all that. DTRA, Defense Threat Reduction Agency. All these that are mentioned here are additional that have additional programs. Now, when you're proposing your idea, I'm trying to push you here to think of the entire product. What are you envisioning? Sometimes it's just innovation, but you have to think, what is the product? This is an example for our company, Nexogen, that you have to define what's the problem, what you are addressing. What is the solution? What's the solution? It is an instrument that could be used in urgent care clinics and at-home testing, replacing inadequate or inaccurate diagnostics. you have to think deeply about your future product. What are the value propositions, and why is it differentiating you from other technologies? You provide existing data validation, what you did in advance, and clearly define your innovation in pictures, in diagrams, and everything what was done in before, and then traction. And of course, it will require a business model that where you are going to define several things. In terms of addressing commercialization, yes, even in phase one, you have to think about it, and phase two in particular, you have to provide a lot of about commercialization aspect. I'm not going to go into details, but I'm trying to motivate you to think in terms of a VC pitch deck, from problem, solution, market, product, business model, how we are going to sell it, a razor blade model, attraction, what did you do in the past, get some grants or not, what is the team, this is very important. You have to be aware of competition, size them, financials, how we are projecting, and of course, what's the money. These type of marketing terms you have to understand, and I think Brink provides and SBDC provides very well education on these, how to define total addressable market, serviceable available market, and serviceable obtainable market for your technologies. So when you are writing a proposal, you have to push yourself to this level to say, okay, this is the market I'm envisioning. I'm going to conquer this portion of the market, and in addition, provide some kind of a financial projections. In 5 years, I'm gonna get this much funding, and I'm gonna be already in green, and I'm be positive and starting generating. Certainly, advice is to address potential markets that are certainly $150 million or more, similarly what VCs are proposing. This slide basically talks about some practical questions, how innovative your proposal should be. It has to be, as Matt mentioned, high risk, high payoff. You are competing practically with Stanford professors and everybody else who started their own companies, and it is highly, highly competitive. So you have to collaborate and find people that will work with you. If you miss that either facilities or expertise, you collaborate with anybody, John Hopkins or any manufacturing company that you can make deals with to work with you on the project. Another question I'm addressing here is, well, can I quit my job if I apply for the SBIR? It sounds a lot of money, 300K, let's say, for phase one. However, I'll send you these slides and you can contact me later. Certainly, I am willing to offer a review of your proposal written, and in addition to that, I provide consulting on writing proposals, and it's much, much more affordable than the large companies that are charging fees on the proposal writing and all that. So if you are looking at the budget, there is indirect cost, and what fits into indirect cost is facility, employer payroll fees, and healthcare of employees, and material supplies are direct costs. So when you split this, you wind up practically that you could, with this money, at least in San Diego, you can probably pay 2 full-time employees at 80K. The budget is done in that case that the PI does 20% and there are other people. So it is a kind of trick how to do it. And then this budget enables about 38% indirect cost, and about 5% is allowed profit fee. From this profit fee, you use it mostly for legal purposes and things like that are unallowable items in your thing. This is my last slide. So how you can increase your success rate. If you decide to write the SBIR, plan to do multiple submissions and establish a team of collaborating institutions from every biggest experts in your field, so that you cover your technology aspects that you are not covering with the people that you have in the company or planned company, and submit multiple proposals. Not only SBIR, for example, in NIH, you can go after R01, R21, R22. Certainly R21 is identical to SBIR phase 1, 23 to phase 2. And in the proposal, you'll see in solicitations, there are always chasing buzz topics. And of course, this is what was changing from throughout the time, from EPA, RECRA, big data, nanotechnology, COVID, and today it is AI chip manufacturing. So practically, this is all what I think. I'll put to the first slide. You have here my email, dhotko@nextgentech.com. You can contact me, but certainly keep Jonathan in loop, and then we'll discuss. I want to work with and continue working with SBDC. If you have any questions, please address it to Matt now and me, and then we'll be very glad to respond any questions or concerns that you have.
All right, great stuff, Dalibor. Thank you. We'll throw it out to the gallery for some questions. I think everyone might be watching the World Cup today. We had some dodgy scheduling. I don't know why we didn't consult FIFA on what time we were going to broadcast, but appreciate you all being here. Does anyone have questions?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So you would actually look at our first submission to help make sure everything was aligned and that the agency sort of aligns with the purpose. I mean, I have this notion that my idea could really like change the vision world. I'm in the vision space. So
Yes, as I'm mentioning, I can offer a free review for people, advice, idea. I'm technical expertise from very broad fields, from clinical diagnostics to environmental technologies, fuel cells, material science, and I'm collaborating with some universities, local universities, and all that. So from technical aspects, yes, I could help you define to what stage and maybe define what's the product really, what are you addressing, how you have to put it in a format that it will satisfy criteria for proposal writing, and maybe suggest and see which agency to submit it, and certainly that. As I mentioned, I can offer consulting for even writing proposal with you, for you, or any of that. I don't want to undermine any courses that SBDC is going to offer, and those are, so please do attend those first to
I did
learn
that. I
what is
did that
needed.
for the last
Yeah,
one. Yes.
sure.
So
I have a question as well. So the funding announcements, is it really that they post them and then you only have 1 month to actually apply? That I don't understand how that works.
No, as Matt mentioned in his slides, grants.gov. You go to grants.gov, you type it in there. What is your field idea, or as previous attendee said, vision. So go to vision and try keywords, and you will see all the solicitations in there that are open. And that are there.
But
Then go.
it looked like they open and close within a month. I don't understand how that
Well, that's
works.
for DoD. That's for DoD. And for one type that they are mentioning, they're going to open it every month. I'm also must admit that I'm kind of new to this. They introduced this new, but let's say Air Force, Navy, everybody, they would issuing normally 3 SBIR solicitations per year, right? So typically for NIH, it's January, April, and September. September 4th, it's known, so you can submit in those 3 deadlines your proposals. All other agencies, NSF, DoD has similar deadlines. So it doesn't mean, so one proposal that you submit to DoD only, but it could be applied in a dual use to different applications, different aspects. Certainly NSF will accept a lot of scientific new advances, and it can cover things. When you are proposing something that you propose to DoD and you are now submitting to NSF, what you need to change, use the same technology, same aspects, same innovation, but you have to change the tasks and aims or objectives that you're working, so that your statement of work is different. In that case, you can get it funded from DoD and from NSF and from NIH. So in essence, there is so open solicitations that you could be submitting one proposal every month potentially once you write it. So do different types of aspects of your technology and different applications, like in diagnostics. You say, well, this solicitation, I'm going to address Lyme disease, and then I'm going to address COVID. COVID is not modern anymore, so I'm going to look for Lyme disease or for uh, stroke or something like that. So if the
Yeah,
innovation
I guess
addresses
I'm
them,
confused how you actually plan for anything. You write up a whole proposal and then you're just waiting for your thing to come up. And
yes, typically for NIH, you submit it, then there is a review process. It will happen within 6 months, and they will let you know, okay, you're gonna get funded or not funded, and then they will negotiate the
well, that
process
all
with the
makes sense
funding.
to me. The DoD makes no sense to me. How, like, that it's so ad hoc.
I would have to check here with Matt. I mean, this is something new. I would say that they will have to review it every month. Often they would have like a pre-proposal, 2 pagers, and they will accept it like NSF does, and then they will approve it. But
Yeah,
I
and
would
then
say
my other question was I'm coming from a biotech background of therapeutics, and I know in the
yes,
past the DoD has had a lot of therapeutics grants, like
yes,
cancer therapies,
and they
etc.
still have.
Do they still do that?
Yes, yes. As I mentioned, blah blah blah. Where is this here? EBRAP. EBRAP is the one, and there is a CDMRP, which is Congressionally Directed Medical Research Programs. They have open programs, so they're funding uh, cancer, ovarian cancers, and things like that. Are of course post traumatic syndrome and things like that. But they are fully into clinical cancer diagnostics. Surprisingly, EBRAP currently is looking for Lyme disease detection.
Okay, so are those a separate website? Do those
The separate
funding
website,
announcements
separate
not show
agency,
up on the
separate.
DoD page?
Yes, so you have to know which ones where are there. But you could, if you type Lyme disease in grants.gov, it will show you EBRAP.
Oh, okay.
So
Everything's
grants.
always in grants.gov. Okay.
Yes, mostly. Yeah, that's the best site, as far as I know, to search for the grants. But then also knowledge about these agencies, you go to their website and then see, okay, what is available, what funding, for example, does it fit you? Is it uh, eligibility? You see, a lot of time eligibility is for universities and academia, and they will say not for-profit small businesses. So that's the first thing that you check in your solicitation. You find it in grants.gov, open up the document and see, okay, eligibility, how much money, when is the close date, is it, and typically they are keeping these programs, certainly NSF and NIH, for a long time open. So till, let's say, till 2029, and there is a cycles where you can submit your proposals, resubmit. One trick with NIH is that you resubmit, you get reviewers' comments, you have to respond to them, typically one pager. Yes, you should do that every time and have one proposal submitted and have maybe 3 to 5 in the review process. And as they get reviewed, you just resubmit or answer questions. And typically, maybe in the second round, NIH would fund your proposal if it's very high quality, innovative, and all that.
Okay, let me hop in here for a sec. I'd like to ask Janet Goins if she wouldn't mind sharing a bit. She's a grant writer and has fingers on the pulse of a couple agencies, including DoD. So, Janet, would you mind sharing what you're seeing recently? Because DoD is definitely its own island
Yeah.
when it comes to
So
cyber.
yeah, I said submit multiple DoD through the year, probably anywhere from 5 to 10, plus then phase 2. So I have a lot of, and we do a lot of Navy, mostly Navy, well, plenty of Air Force, MDA. So they come out every month. They went from having these, larger cycles in like April that were due June, and then they were in like September due or August, then due October. Now they're trying to move to monthly. We do still find they have bigger groups during those two cycles, but they are trying to move to releasing them, the first Wednesday of every month. I put in, if you go to the DSIP website, that's the Department DoD SBIR Innovation Portal. That's where they will release them every month. But in there, I'm pretty sure that's where you can get on an email list that the first Wednesday of every month, they will send out, reminders. But I just have it on my calendar to go check every month. And they are always the pre-releases that are released on that first Wednesday. And they give you a little bit of time. During that time, it is really, really important. You want to try to talk to the TPOC, the technical point of contact, because once it's opened, you cannot talk to them anymore. So you want to find a way to set a time, write your question. You won't want to waste too much of their time, but have a list of questions and find out kind of what they're looking for. And so that's where the pre-release time, because once it opens, then you will have no more time or you won't be able to contact them. You can still submit questions to the website, but those questions then become public, which may or may not be a problem, but you just need to know that everybody else competing is going to also see those.
So that piece there, Janet, how do you approach the contact? Is it just cold email and you ask
Yep.
for a phone call or meeting?
Yep. You just email them and say, hey, we're looking to propose on this topic. We'd like to talk to you, see if we can, chat about the topic and we want to make sure we're aligned or find out what you're looking for. Some of them are very open. Some of them don't. They're like, I can't tell you that, can't tell you that, can't tell you that. But and some of them, a lot of times they don't list a TPOC. They'll just have an email. You might not be able to contact anybody, but if they have a name, you absolutely want to talk to them and find out, because that's gonna you want to and take, of course, diligent notes to repeat in your proposal. That person, is not going to do the initial read through of your proposal, but they may have a lot to do with that final selection.
Yeah. So I've heard that with every agency. That's a crucial piece, is that outreach, like try to find who the project manager is or the contact and try to engage them, because one, they get to know you, but two, like they are involved with putting out the solicitation. Like they want to hear from companies, right? Because they want their project funded and they want a good fit. Another fast question for you. So to Christine's point, so they're just shotgunned out monthly, or you have to keep checking monthly. So what kind of prep do you have in place if we don't have a crystal ball, we don't know what the solicitations are going to be? So how do you plan around that on your end as a experienced veteran in this?
Yeah, so there are several things. You can get a lot of you can go ahead and download. So let me back up a little bit. Each one, Air Force, Navy, MDA, all of them, DLA, they all have different templates. So just know that they're going to have different requirements for. They're all in different volumes, but volume 5 is like the extra other documents that they have. And so they all have a little bit different requirements or a little bit different template setups. Some of them are 10 pages, some are 15. So, but if you think that your topic or your knowledge is going to be specifically probably more applicable to one of to one specific agency. You want to look at that template and get things prepped. We start thinking about, okay, so the key personnel, who's going to work on it, make sure they are, they're going to have, time. But that's hard to plan because you just don't know. It could be anytime in the next year that, or two or however long. But we try to keep their things like their resumes. Well, they're shortened resumes. They're very, one paragraph. Those kind of things updated. Previous, relevant research. You can get those blurbs kind of written up. Things like, all of those extra documents that they require. Make sure you have those in place. The DD, was it 3245, whatever the secret one is, things like that, that if they require them, you're not having to create these things. So, we just kind of, I've done them enough now that I kind of have, a repository with most of those things I can pull, but you want to update them for each proposal. But, you will get them kicked out if you are not following everything on those, their requirements. So I would highly recommend looking through those instructions and just being familiar with what they're looking for.
Gotcha. Last one from me, and then
Sure.
I'm sure a couple others have questions. So in terms of reaching out to the proper contacts prior to them putting out a solicitation, so we're looking for our subject area in the agencies or the military branches, right? So, I mean, how many different, contacts would there be? And I guess we have to find the one that our research will probably align with, right? And then that's the one that we contact.
Well, at least in the Navy and Army, or Navy and Air Force, they usually list them on the topic. They will list the who is the TPOC. They will have usually two, sometimes one. But if not, then they have an email or a phone number at the bottom that will say, if they don't have anybody listed, it'll be a generic one. And you can always email that and say, hey, I'm looking to apply to this topic. Is there someone I can chat with about it?
Excellent.
So
Thanks,
you shouldn't have
Sheila.
to dig in. It should be on the topic in the DoD ones.
Thanks. Who else has got questions? You can just raise your hand or type in the chat or just start talking.
Hi, I'm Irene, and I do have a question on so my batteries are dual purpose, and I do have a question. So I can gear towards a sustainability or like a military critical infrastructure kind of build up type of usage. And I was just wondering, is there, because I feel like NSF has more like a generic portal where you can submit them like a more generic topic, and then for DoD, is it more specific topics that they're looking for? Okay, because they don't have anything like a more generic, like you can just apply for like an SBIR, you can just apply for just one and then they can kind of narrow you down. No.
I think there is occasionally a hey, general need, but most of their money goes towards specific topics that they release.
Okay, because I search on it really quickly. And then okay, so I guess I'll look into a little bit more. And also, like you mentioned, the two pagers, is this something like a project pitch in NSF, like the for the DoD, is it like a more like a project pitch? What kind of how is it different than a project pitch in NSF?
Are you asking about the DoD?
Yeah, the DoD two pager. Is it kind of like
Uh,
a kind of overview?
I don't know anything about a two-pager. Almost all of theirs are 10 to 15 pages for a
Oh, so there's
baseline.
no like not like a pre-selection type of screening?
Not that I have ever seen.
Okay.
We did start to work on a NIH one. It was kind of a weird crossover. And I know they had like a, hey, just give us your topic. We'll let you know if we're interested and can go forward. It was the first time I'd seen that. I have not seen that at all on the DoD.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's
And then
mostly NSF specific piece where you can do a project pitch, which is 4 or 5 pages, which I mean, it's a lot more efficient because you lob that in before you blow 100 hours on a full submission. But
yeah.
and apparently some of the other agencies are thinking about adopting something similar, but currently that's a NSF thing. I want.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you, Irene.
Yeah, if I may
Okay.
add, Janet was right. I mean, in the past, you could have very generic DoD topics from Navy, Air Force, and everybody, like nanotechnology. They were looking for new materials and more generic battery applications, innovative batteries, and all that. However, today they are, as Janet said, much more specific. They are saying, okay, we need a new battery for Apache helicopter, talala, and it's very specific. So it's very useful if you talk to the point of contacts there, technical, and see if it fits. Very often they look at the technologies in advance that they already know about somebody. So it is competitive. More generic approaches, innovations would go easier through NSF. Obviously, sometimes DOE can be applicable for batteries, as you mentioned, and innovative new batteries. But every agency, as Janet also said, has their own regulations and they're inventing different mechanisms. Obviously, NSF has pitches, NIH. You contact the what I think Irene was mentioning. You contact and talk to the program officer, but that's nothing official. You have to submit the proposal, which starts with specific aims and all that. So to check compatibility. So NIH is also very generic in essence, but sometimes they want it specific to a disease, but it could be innovation from therapeutics to diagnostics to new platforms, new microfluidics, and there is departments that will accept from mechanical engineering, electronics, AI, software to clinical diagnostics.
Thank you. That
Okay,
was really
let's do one last quick thing before we wrap up. But as an aside, we'll share aspects of the meeting, like recording will be posted on YouTube. We can share some of the slides and just to clarify. So Dalibor is like a friend of the Brink, but he is not part of the Brink. So anything through our group or through our friends at UCSD, it's free. There isn't any charge. Brink, we're government funded by grants. But with Dalibor, like we'll share his contact info. He's gracious, like he's a friend, so he'll do free consults, things like that. But that would be outside of our scope. Okay, last quick thing. We'll do this in 60 seconds, even though it could take an hour. Anitha, what are the chances of landing a successful grant as a first-time applicant? References NSF, DoD, but I guess we're quickly Dalibor, Janet. What do you think? Like, do you have to lob in a few before they start to pay attention, or if it's
Ladies
what they're
first.
looking for, can we get it right off the bat?
Janet, do you want to talk for? I'm putting ladies first, right? So anyhow.
Okay. I think it's tough. I think, if you do, have something, a really good idea, I would definitely see if you can search and find some examples online or, of other winning ones, because there's so many components that they look at, your commercialization and stuff and how it's hard as a first-time person to, be able to communicate that and be able to really prove that, hey, I know I'm going to be able to commercialize this. One thing so I would apply, but then if you, don't win, which it can get tough, I think the chances on a lot of these agencies is like 10-15%. Ask for, they will always, when they send you the response, they will, you can ask for them to send you a debrief, and they will list exactly what you did well and what you did wrong and what they would want to see better. And so, hey, then you can reapply with, if you haven't won anything with that, you can use that same content and reapply. Again, just having improved what they told you needed to be improved. Some debriefs are more detailed and more helpful than others. But
So
you
if I
definitely
may,
aren't going to win if you don't
yeah,
apply.
go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Janet. That's a good tip. Dalibor, what are your last thoughts before we gavel this?
Yeah, I think the question was, can I get funded if I'm the first time submitting proposal, potentially also not very mature technology? It will depends where you are with your idea. Was it already pre-tested, tested in the lab, um, developed somewhere? But let's assume it's a very, very novel thing, not much preliminary data and all that. SBIR will accept proposals without preliminary data. As a reviewer, I would say there was proposals that all proposals, 15, 20 of us, we were stunned. By what? By addressing all aspects of the 5 different criteria: team, innovation, impact, um, technical innovation, and commercial aspects of that. I think it is possible, but it will depend how crazy innovative your idea is. I think one of the attendees mentioned, oh, they have a great vision for the world and change the vision and things like that. Yes, that will attract everyone, but you have to add collaborators. If I need somebody for clinical study or testing, I'll find a collaborator from Johns Hopkins. I'll cover that, so the collaborative team will cover everything there. Facilities, think if you need to manufacture something, you have facility to do that. You have to address all proposals that they funded before. Look under NIH Reporter or others, SBIR previous awards, that you know what they already funded. How does it fit the program? And I think high innovation, high quality people have a high chance, and it can happen first time. Although, yes, my
And give what
suggestion
they're
is
asking
probably,
for and follow the
yeah,
rules in the submissions. Otherwise, as Janet knows way better than
yes.
me, if they get 500, they're looking to bounce you up for any reason. Okay, Benton, sorry, I
So
overtook.
yeah, to echo that, the first application is the hardest, but they get easier after that. And we have a workshop to help you every step of the way. And we have advisors that can help you for free. Big thank you to Dalibor and Janet for popping in. Great to see you. Huge thanks to Jonathan and Matt for running the program. Sign up for our email or LinkedIn is the easiest way to keep track. We'll reach out and let you know when we've scheduled the next SBIR writing workshop. And in the interim, you can always reach out, become a Brink client for free, and take advantage of one-on-one until we do the next workshop. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you at the Brink. Be well. Enjoy the World Cup. Keep innovating.
Thank you,
Go
guys.
Mexico.
Yep.
Thank you.
Go
Thank
Mexico.
you, everyone.